Hi, I'm Abby, and I decided to do a genogram for this assignment. And so right off the bat, I noticed on my mom's side of the family that there's a history of alcoholism and some anger problems. Uh, I did the anger problems with like a little red line because I wasn't 100% sure on how to show those. So, um, my mom said that her grandma, my great grandma Delva, was an alcoholic, and she was pretty sure her grandpa Stephen was also an alcoholic as well. And so that predisposed my grandpa Robert to being an alcoholic as well. And my mom said that her dad wasn't the nicest dude. And um I think my oldest uncles, my mom's two older brothers, were affected by it the most because I think they were just in a more critical stage in their life. Plus, they were around him a little bit longer than my mom was. Um, and because the way I think this is the case is because my uncle Ron, my mom said, did drugs a lot, especially pot. And my uncle Kirk um, is a pretty heavy smoker. And he's a clean smoker. You never smell it on him, but he does smoke quite a bit. And my uncle Kirk is also pretty grumpy. To my knowledge, he hasn't physically abused anybody, but he is really grumpy. It's affected his personal life quite a bit. Um, and my uncle Ron, to my knowledge, every interaction that I've always had is he's been very nice. But I think he's kind of continued in a cycle of like abuse because my Aunt Sherry financially abused my uncle. My uncle was only allowed to ever spend money he made in overtime at his job. He never really knew how much she made. And like when they got divorced, it was during COVID. She tried to keep his COVID check and like all sorts of stuff financially. And my cousin Brittany has some anger problems, and she definitely has some abuse problems. She has physically abused my uncle, and yeah, and my uncle Kirk, I definitely think his anger problems have passed down to his daughter Aurora. Aurora is not his biological daughter. She is only his stepdaughter, but she has been with my uncle Kirk ever since she was extremely little. So they're very, very close. Um, my Aunt Lisa, I met the woman all of like 3 times, I think. Um, they've been divorced as long as I've known. My Uncle Kirk's been single, I think, basically my entire life. And my cousin Max, I think, is more than normal ones on that this side of the family. My Uncle Russell is honestly one of the more normal ones as well in this family. I think he's like the classic middle child of the bunch, where he definitely, I think, uses humor as a coping mechanism. He likes to say he's the comedian of the family, and he likes to say, as a direct quote from him, put the fun in dysfunctional. Him and my Aunt Robin weren't able to have kids. So they adopted my cousin Bailey and my cousin Aubrey. My Aunt Robin died when I was around, it was my freshman year of high school. She got cancer when I was really little. She was diagnosed on September 11th, 2001. And my Uncle Gordon is also one of the more normal ones, ironically, and he has schizophrenia, which makes it more ironic. And then my mom is also one of the more normal ones in this bunch. My cousin Aubrey, she has a lot of social anxiety that I think very much got worse after her mom passed away, but was also pretty bad beforehand, but definitely got worse after her mom died. My grandma Joanne, I don't know much about her family, but I do know that her parents are also divorced, and they cheated on each other. My great grandpa Leslie and my great grandma Trilva, don't know who cheated on who first, but they both cheated on each other, to the point that I know one of my grandma's sisters is not his daughter. I don't know which one came first, the divorce or the sister that's not his child. My dad's side is a little bit more normal, but I also don't know much if it is more normal, because they just don't have as much problems, or of what my dad said, where his dad, my grandpa Jay, had the mentality of just let it die and move on. I did find out during this project, though, that my great grandpa Claire did have a gambling problem. And I already knew this story beforehand, but it's pretty funny. My great grandma Rose got mad at my great grandpa Claire to the point that she painted their bedroom pink. And then my grandma Glenda, I don't know too much about their family, but my dad said his dad had a little bit of a temper, but it wasn't anything too crazy. But my dad said he did have the mentality of just let the past die and move on. They adopted my Uncle Clay, and because they thought they couldn't have kids, so they adopted my Uncle Clay, and then a year later they found out they could have kids because they got pregnant with my dad. And then my sister, and then my brother-in-law Jake. We have a pretty good relationship, me and my sister, and I think why we have a good relationship is because my parents don't really talk to their siblings. My mom thinks it's because of all of the problems between with her dad and her family. And if it wasn't for my Uncle Gordon, she really probably wouldn't talk to her other siblings. Because she helps kind of take care of my Uncle Gordon with his schizophrenia and make sure that he's taken care of. My dad does talk to his brother, but they don't really do much. It's more just kind of making sure that each other's still alive. So they do stress that me and my sister still keep in contact and do stuff with each other, and that's pretty good. And then my brother-in-law Jake's pretty great too. And I've learned that I probably shouldn't drink alcohol because I think I would probably get addicted based on the majority of my relatives having some form of addiction problem, whether that be gambling or alcohol or something, basically. But yeah, that's my crazy family.